Hello again, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Willis Wit and Wisdom. I am Eric Willis, and I am the son of,
Bob Willis. Good to see you, folks.
yeah, glad you're with us again. And on this episode, Dad and I were talking about, just the culture that we're in, the society and the season that we're in can be summed up with one word, and that's change. So,
hmm
change can be difficult, can't it, Dad?
Yep, absolutely. We actually grieve change. We have changes in life, even those we choose to do. Say we decided we're going to move to another home. We made that decision, but we will grieve that loss because we're losing the familiar and going to the unfamiliar. So, yeah, change can be difficult.
Yeah. And so change can come in, it hits people differently. When change is in front of us, there's what's called early adopters to that change and then late adopters to that change. And it just takes different people, different periods of time to adjust to that change. So
Mhm.
what have you found when it comes to engaging change that might be helpful for people to move through it?
In fact, I wrote about this on my morning moment this morning on Facebook, was dealing with change because when we've gone through a change, we actually can lose our focus. Our concentration level is gone. In fact, you may discover, and Eric, you realize this, I do too, you can actually drive a car without a brain in the car.
Right.
We can be zipping down the road at 50, 70 miles an hour, and our mind's back here thinking about something that took place and not even focusing on the driving. So, because we're going through changes, it can affect your focus and your concentration. Change can affect your actually your eating and sleeping. And
Mm.
what I find a lot of times with people who are caregivers, their eating and their sleeping patterns have changed anyway because they're on someone else's schedule. They're napping when they can, they're snacking when they can, and so they're actually making those changes in the normal routine, and they may find that that's how they're existing now. They're napping their way through the day and night, and they're snacking their way through the day without sitting to take a good nutritious meal. So changes can really affect us physically at that time too. But the concentration level is really the one I see the most of.
Yeah.
People losing things, misplacing things, driving right past their driveway when they've been turning in for 25 years. All of a sudden, they weren't thinking, just drove right past it. That's real normal. It's normal to have those. One of the things I see also is we can have a change in our moods. Our moods can change. Others will recognize that. They will say things like, you're just not yourself anymore. Well, that's true. We're not. We're going through some changes.
Yeah.
But, I guess the way I like to put it is people will lose their filter. They
Mm.
can no longer filter things, and they will, if they think it, they say it. And that might be a big change for some people.
That could
And
be dangerous for some people too.
it is. It can stir up some conversation.
Yeah.
But I have been around some people that if they think it, they just say it. They don't want to take the time to filter anything anymore, and that can create some problems. So and really though, Eric, all these are normal things. They're
Yes.
normal. People aren't losing it. They don't have to go check themselves into a facility if they're feeling these things. They're very normal because we've had changes in life. And you've seen that with communication, I believe, when people are going through changes in life, there's going to be a break in communication, can't there?
Yeah, it can heighten the dysfunction that underlies a relationship. So change can actually bring out some of that dysfunction in communication.
Yeah.
Change is interesting because what is your assumption about change? And are you assuming that change is bad? Are you okay with change being good? What meaning do you attach to the change that's taking place? Um, and are you able to recognize the type of change that's happening? Um, there's external change in our environment and relationships and things around us that really we don't have a whole lot of control over, those
Right,
types
right.
of changes. But then there's also the internal changes. And Dad, you were speaking of this earlier when you were talking about the no filter. Um,
hmm
and so being aware of what actually is changing? And are you attaching meaning to that change? The answer is yes. So what type of meaning are you attaching to that change? Is it positive? Is it negative? And either way, change is going to produce a little bit of angst, a little bit of um, disequilibrium with you. You're going to feel off balance emotionally,
Right.
regardless of whether you see the change as positive or negative. And
Mhm.
so,
And that is happening all around us because of the virus and people. I mean, they're fussing over whether to wear a mask or not, and
right.
that's a big change for all of us. And sometimes we're mandated. We feel like there's pressure. We have to wear a mask. You know, I was visiting with a physician just a few months ago, and he was wearing a mask. And he said, Bob, the reason I wear a mask is to keep me from touching my nose and my mouth. He
Hmm.
said, it isn't to protect from the germs, it's to keep me from touching my nose and mouth. I thought, you know, he's got a good point there. We have to protect ourselves somehow too. And wearing that mask was the way he did that. And he
Hmm.
said, it's a big change in our office, but that's the way it has to be for now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, COVID has brought around a lot of changes with people, and we don't like it because some people are requiring us to change.
Yes.
And we want that power.
And that's the key. We want to be in control. We want the
Right.
power. And if it's not our idea or our decision, we're going to push back
All
on it.
right. Yep.
And
Mhm. Yep. Well, one of the things I find, if people can find a safe person to talk about those changes, just talk about them. Just much in the type of conversation that we're having here, if people can have that conversation instead of heightening it to a level of anger and retaliation, that instead of getting to that level, let's bring it down and notch it back some, so we can say, this has really affected me, and this is how I see it affecting me, and be able to talk about those things and talk about the feeling level instead of the reaction to everything else that's around us. Because especially for the next few months and through November, especially, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to react instead of come back down a little bit and find out what's this doing for me, what are my feelings, and find
yeah,
out, really what we believe about it and express it to a safe person.
yep, absolutely. And finding that safe person is critical.
Hmm.
And what makes a person safe is someone who will listen and hear, um,
Right.
and be able to engage without breaching confidentiality or blabbing everything you talk about to everybody else that they know. It's
Right.
just having that safe
Yeah.
person to be able to say, "Hey, I'm feeling this right now."
Right. Right.
And I
Yeah.
would
That's a
say,
real. Go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say, in addition to sharing your feelings and how all this change is making you feel, go ahead and take it to a logical level as well. Use your thinker and your feeler in conversation. Uh,
Hmm.
think through the logic pieces. Think through the consequences, the implications. Um, Draw it out in your head as you try to process it with your heart. And so think and feel are both good. And so don't get stuck in your feeler and keep
Hmm.
expressing yourself that way, but engage the brain and think through, um, um, think and feel, I guess is what I'm
Right.
trying to say.
Right. Yeah. So why am I feeling this way? Why am I responding this way? How do I feel threatened? And that we come back to that safe person is someone we trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone we trust that they're, like you said, they're not going to blab it everywhere. They're going to hear what we have to say and maybe even ask a question or two to help us clarify things. And that's a good safe person in our life. And I hope everyone who tunes into us has that person. If not, seek them out. Okay, try to find them, because that's an important person. You may start with your church family, you may start with your pastor, and try to find that safe person. That could be a licensed counselor, someone that has a not only a background of listening and hearing, but also they know how to handle themselves and guide someone to express feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, very good, Dad. Great words of wit and wisdom today. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay,
Change is going to be inevitable. It's a
it
part of
is.
life.
You know
So,
what? When I hear people talking about their children growing up so fast, I usually say, well, if they didn't, they'd take them to a doctor and wonder why they weren't. Same way with the changes we go through. We will be going through some changes. If we didn't make changes, the only ones that don't make changes, they're out here in the cemetery right now. Okay.
Right.
Okay. But change is part of life. And so let's absorb that and let it guide us in life, the positives.
Good word. Good word. Dad, how can people connect with you and send you some questions for us to consider on the next episodes?
Right. I would love for that to happen. They can reach me on my email address, which is rwillis14@cox.net. They can reach me at rwillis14@cox.net, or they can tune in to me and find me on Facebook. They can follow me on Facebook. Not necessarily stalk me, but follow me just under Bob Willis. I provide something every morning about 7 o'clock dealing with grief and loss and changes.
Yep. And that's a great little brief, easy read, but also kind of poignant, to the point, and some great stuff that you're putting out there. So I encourage you to follow Dad on Facebook for his morning moments. And you can reach me through reclaimleadership.org. I have a weekly blog that goes out, and well, this past week's blog was on the power of words and people as roadblocks in your life. How do you deal with that? So feel free to join me and follow me there at reclaimleadership.org. Also, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you for being with us, and we look forward to bringing you the next episode of Willis, Wit, and Wisdom. Dad, have a great day. It's good to see you. Love you.
Love you too, son. Folks, thanks for tuning in.
Bye.